Since the 1920s, scrapers have had an important place in earth-moving work. And through the years, the more scrapers proved they could do, the more they were called upon to do. It was once said, the day Wabco introduced elevating scrapers to the construction industry, they rewrote the book on profitable earth-moving. Since then, elevating scrapers have grown in size, and they've grown in horsepower, and double horsepower. Today's Wabco twin-engine elevating scrapers are meeting the demands for more production at lower costs. And they're working on tougher jobs than were ever considered just a few short years ago. The 36-yard Model 353 FT scraper with 1,025 horsepower and the 27-yard Model 252 FT with 700 horsepower are the result of Wabco's years of pioneering experience with elevating scrapers. But it's out on the job where those years of experience translate themselves into the advantages that spell out higher production in a wide variety of job conditions. They're the performers. One of the tougher jobs for scrapers is overburden removal in kaolin mines. There's a lot of them in the southeastern United States. There's a wide variety of materials in their overburden. Then there's the continual job of reclaiming the mined out areas. While elevating scrapers often work alone, they're just as effective working in fleets. The flexibility of these scrapers makes them adaptable to most job requirements. This soil may be tough and rocky, but with the twin engine power, consistently heap loads are the rule, cycle after cycle, with never the need for a pusher. You know, these twin engine elevating scrapers can load just about any scraper material with the exception of shot rock. The load going into these scrapers is well broken up by the elevators. So with these machines, you can get a good, honest 27-yard load. Since these scrapers have excellent weight-to-power ratio, there's plenty of reserve power for pulling up and out of the pit. In another kaolin mine in Georgia, their Wabco scrapers are doing much the same work. Here, the spread is made easier since the overburden material is pulverized by the elevator flights during the loading. In this pit, the mine wasn't even using ripper teeth on their 252 FT. The operator just made long, smooth cuts that would leave the pit in good shape in case of a rain. Cuts like these really demonstrate the capability of these scrapers to actually do finishing work when it's required. Sand on this job in Florida presents a totally different set of working conditions. Like most loose sand, this is dead and hard to load. The sand on this portion of a large land development project had been stockpiled during construction of a canal. Now it was being moved some distance to home sites. Although this sand had simply been cast up with a drag line, the elevator was able to heap this loose, dead material in the scraper bowl. Efficient maximum loads like this would have been nearly impossible with open bowl scrapers. Haul time on this compacted, well-maintained haul road was kept short with a fast scraper speed. That's what the best weight-to-power ratio in its class will do for these big scrapers. The fill area on this part of the project was soft, but using his 700 horsepower, the operator could spread his load and get on his way back to the load area. Soil conditions on this job bring out two of the important benefits of these twin-engine elevating scrapers. There's power when it's needed to work in the soft, spongy terrain. At the same time, there's all the speed that's needed on firm haul roads. These are the performers. In Indiana, Wabco twin-engine elevating scrapers are used in various coal mines. At this location, they're at work removing the overburden. Then in one continuous operation, they'll spread this material in the mined-out area. With reclamation work such an important part of mining today, it had better be cost efficient. That's where these twin-engine elevating scrapers are so effective, with their consistent yardage, shift after shift. Spreading in an area adjacent to the cut speeds up the daily production. But equally important is the spreading in thin lifts. This makes compaction easier and faster, and with a minimum of other equipment. You'll see Wabco elevating scrapers on all sorts of jobs most anywhere in the country. And here in Texas, one of the 252 FT twin-engine units was used to cut a trench 32 feet deep to divert a stream. With the flow of water diverted, a seam of coal under the old stream bed could then be mined. Rolling resistance of the material on this job site really demonstrated the superior tractive power of these twin-engine scrapers. Whether it was being loaded or working its way through the soft, loose waste area, the Wabco scraper kept on the go. In yet another kaolin operation in Georgia, two of these scrapers worked in a pit, removing a wide variety of overburden materials. In addition to nearly 18 feet of red clay, there was topsoil stockpiled for later reclamation work. And then there was also fuller's earth, that varied from 8 to 12 feet. 12 to 14 feet of white sand lying immediately on top of the kaolin was also moved with the scrapers. A strata of fire clay had to be drilled and blasted for removal by a shovel. Moving this overburden is one of those jobs that has to be done. This means a minimum of equipment that will load, haul, and then spread the overburden material in the way that meets the job specifications. Here the clay was simply dumped in the waste area. The scraper's large floor opening and its rigid strike-off blade made it possible for the operator to eject his load exactly as he needed. Where the job requires higher production and the terrain and material are really tough, that's where the 353 FT could be working. In an Arkansas coal mine, 2 of these 36-yard scrapers were ripping into shale, breaking it up as the elevator loaded this tough overburden. With their more than 1,000 horsepower, these big twin-engine elevating scrapers moved a lot of this fragmented overburden in a day's time. Even when the pit is wet, their production can be maintained. In conditions like this, Wabco's traction sensing differential automatically goes to work. The unique differential automatically maintains power to the drive wheel on the best footing, and it's done automatically. Earth moving with these twin-engine elevating scrapers presents a totally new outlook on scraper fleet operation. With either the 36-yard model 353 FTs or the 27-yard model 252 FTs, these could be a fleet of 7 scrapers, or they could be 7 fleets of individual scrapers. These are the scrapers that work any way you need them because they're the performers. Not only do they do a full day's work in terms of yardage, but they do it at a profitable cost per yard. Every workday, they're loading the soft, dead material. And they're moving the hard, abrasive stuff. They're working where it's dry, and also where it's wet. They're spreading their loads the way it's needed. Thin lifts for compaction, high speed on the waste piles, controlled operation, but always it's high production. These are the performers.